Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tisha Spencer, and I am here to show you the wonders of TravelJoy. Now, TravelJoy is a program that is online that is used by a lot of different travel professionals out there to help them organize their travel. And today I'm going to show you how to create a trip. So once you have logged into TravelJoy, you will see a dashboard, and this is the dashboard I'm using for training. And what you'll do is you go right over here to where it says create. Now you can create just an individual trip, you can create a group, or you can add a new client. So just for today, we are going to create a trip. Now, what I love about this is the fact that you get to choose a header for all of the emails as well as the trip documents that you send out. There's various different ones that are in here. Some of them are already preloaded and some of them you can upload yourself. So we're just going to use the waterfall. Now, when you're first getting started, more than likely you do not have your client's information in here. If you do, you just start typing it here and it'll pop up. If not, you will create new. So you will put in their first name, their last name, their email, and you will go ahead and add them. But there's also more trip options that you can put in to include the starting date and ending date, destination if you know where they're going, number of travelers, if you've received a budget, and the confirmation number is something that you will add once you have actually booked the trip and you have a confirmation number. So I'm just going to choose a person that's already in here. Let me see. I'm gonna use my mother. And then we'll go ahead, and as you can see on the top, it has her name up here. And then I have the destination and everything. So we're gonna go ahead and create a trip. So now this is what the trip page looks like. It's going to have your information on the left side and all of their information on the right. Now, once this has been created, it is going to sit in inquiry mode. Now, there are several stages that you will go through. They'll inquire. You may have to follow up if they're not responding to something. When you've sent a proposal, when the proposal has been approved, when the trip is booked, and then it'll automatically go to departed and return based on the dates that you have over here. So this here states whether you are waiting on you to do something, the client to respond, or you're waiting on the supplier. You would use this, say, if your client asks for an upgrade and you're waiting for the supplier to get back. This is to let you know where the trip is actually standing in the process. Now here is, you can edit the trip, which is basically just going ahead and changing the information that we have. If you have any additional travelers, you can add them here. As you can see, my mom has traveled with several other people, so it's automatically giving me some suggestions. And then you go ahead and just save it. You can also archive. Now, when you archive, there are several reasons why you would archive. Because one, the trip has been completed. One, the client did not respond to any of your emails or communications. Maybe it was outside the budget that they originally wanted, wasn't a good fit. The trip was canceled, which happens, other reasons, or merged. Merge basically means that when you started this trip, there may have been several other people who wanted to start going. So you've merged it into a group, or you've merged this client into somebody else's reservation. Say they're going to now share a room. And then of course you can delete. Now what you're gonna do here is you are going to create a form. Now the forms, we'll go into the forms differently, but there's several different types of forms that you can do. And I already have some already set up. So what you have here is different types of forms that you can use, that you can create. Generally, I use the trip request form, and I'm gonna preview that real quick. I did alter some of this information because whatever you put here will automatically go into your client's file. So if they fill out their passport information now, you don't have to go back and say, hey, can I get your passport information so I can add it to your reservation, or so I can put it into your airline booking. If it's already in the reservation when you make the booking, it does automatically flow over to the airline in most cases. You have your addresses. As you can see, some of this stuff is filled out because my mom has traveled before, so some of this information is already in her profile. But this gives you a lot of different things that you can choose. So then you want to hit review email. You can put anything you want here. It automatically gives you a standard thing to put here. You can change it, add it, do whatever you want. And then of course, always have a signature block at the bottom with a way for them to call you if need to. And then now basically it, I'm actually not going to send it because it's going to actually go to my mom. So I don't want to do that. So we're just going to go back to the trip form. And then you can also create a supplier invoice. Now there's two different ones, supplier and direct. What most people get confused is they go to direct. Now direct means that the client is going to pay you in your bank account. Now, depending on your host agency or how you run your business, you may not be able to accept funds directly. If you are not, you want to do an invoice for a supplier, which basically means that you are going to create a form with all of the trip information as you figure out what it is, because of course we have to get the proposal done first, but you will come in here and you would choose whatever it is that you want, fill in all the information, and it'll come into here. And then you want to put a name on the invoice. I normally use the trip, whatever the trip is, and that's what I'll put on the name. And then you can even add payments. Now, because the payment is zero, it's going to say zero, but you can also add multiple. So you can do deposit and final date, where the people can choose to make payments in between. You can do monthly. I like to do fixed payments. Basically, it tells them how many payments they need, and then they equal. Or sometimes I'll use monthly, where it tells you which date that they have to make the payment and what is the final due date for the trip. And then you say equal payments, and then you'll create a schedule. Since everything is still zero, but it works like this. Now what happens is, when this gets sent forward to your clients, we're going to preview this so you can see what it looks like. This would have all of the trip information that you have there. This will have all the information here to the amount due. Down here is when they'll go through this, and this is how it's going to look to them. It's going to tell them each amount, the payment information, and you can edit all of this information to state different things. Generally, this first block, I put deposit payment. Now, when this gets sent to them, they're able to go ahead and click off a credit card authorization form. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to click save, mainly because I want to try to pull it up so you can actually see it. And then we're going to go ahead and you can get an invoice link. So if you don't want to email it, you can also just send the link that they can click on. I don't think I'm going to be able to open it up so you can see it like the client does without actually sending it. But here you can mark it as paid. So when a client actually makes a payment and the payment has gone through and you have actually paid the supplier, this is when you'll do this, and it'll send them a receipt. So this is what the receipt looks like. And then after you do the receipt, you go ahead and mark it as paid. It's going to go through. And then it's going to show that it's already paid, and here's the receipt. Now, what I do after this is I go ahead and we'll send this again to the client to let them know that it's been paid. They have a receipt that's going to come in under a separate heading, the amounts that's still left, and the due dates. Now, the system does not automatically send reminders to the clients, but it does show them when they make payments. Sometimes I'll have a client that may skip May, June, and July, but on the 8th, we'll make a payment of, say, $350. It'll combine these payments to say, okay, well, we're going to say this is $350. Say the payments were $50 each. They'll say, okay, well, it'll combine all the different payments together on that one payment they make here. And it makes keeping account of what people are paying, how much they're paying, if they're paying less than the minimum amount. It keeps track of it for you so you don't have to go ahead and do it. So basically right then and there is how to create a trip. Now all your files can go here. So as you make confirmations and you are downloading the documents from the supplier, you can add it all here. You can set up task reminders for yourselves. It automatically is going to do the ones for all the invoices. It's going to automatically do that. Now I have a reminder that comes to me a couple of days before the actual invoice is due to remind me to send the invoice back out. It also has a calendar feature that lets you know when all the invoices are due for everything. This will be for all of your trips that you have, period. Any notes from conversations with the client, with the supplier, or that you need to keep track of. Now, your trip notes are not seen by anybody but you. This whole document, only thing that they see is actually what you send them. Now, the cool thing about it is when you go ahead and send any kind of notes to your clients, it'll actually type it up here. Everything will stay in here inside of this messages. Whether it is 1, 2, 3, or 4 different people that you're communicating with, you can choose who do you want to talk to. You can even add people to talk to while you're doing this. So you can have all the people in the room can be discussed. Say this is a group trip, and every single communication you want to have the coordinator to see it, you can even do that. So speaking of groups, let's go ahead and create a group. Matter of fact, I have some empty groups that we can use. So we're going to go back to the dashboard, and we're going to create a group, and it's the same setup. Everything is the same for the group. You just give a name for the group, you put in some dates, and you put in a destination, and it's going to create a group. But since I already have some empty groups already, I'm just going to go here to that one instead of creating a new one. So now with the groups, I have a generic email that's already set up. So as I have new clients, I can just automatically send this to anybody that needs it to be sent. Now you can add trips to the group, where if you already have them in the system, you can just click and go. Or if it's somebody new, you follow the same steps as if this was an individual trip. There'll be group files. Now group files is something at group level. This is not the individual trip information. This is where you would go here and you would have somebody set up already in here. I'm just going to create a trip with somebody. As you come in here, now this would be all of their information. But when we're dealing with all travelers, this is all group level information. But what I like about this is because for those of you who are doing groups, it is definitely giving you an option to go ahead and see all the information that a person is doing within your group. So you have the group invoice name, the invoice number if you put it in, all the status, all the information at one shot. You can also see all of the forms that you have sent, who has responded, who hasn't responded. And just like before, you also have your group notes. The last thing I'm going to show you is how to create a new client. So this basically is one of the things that I love about TravelJoy is the fact that you can put in all of your clients' information in, fill everything out, but it's also, I actually edit this because since I am a Greek member, I like to know if anybody is associated with any Greek organizations. You have relationships. So say you have some other people already in here that are family members, they are friends, siblings, relatives, you can go ahead and connect them. All of their loyalty programs can be listed here for easy access. All the important birthdays and weddings, travel preferences, passport information, payment information. Now, what I like about the payment information is that this gets filled in once they have filled out the credit card authorization form. The CVC number is only good for 90 days and the system will scrub it out. But generally when a client makes a new payment, they have to fill out another credit card authorization form. Now these forms are in the system and they are filed. So if you ever need to pull them and download them and use them for any reason, you will have access to it. Note about the client, and then it'll list every single trip that this person has taken or has talked about taking. So we're going to cancel out of that. I want to save that. And then basically it's all of the same situations. You can create, instead of creating individuals, you can create a group booking page, which we'll do on a different time. I always use supplier. I don't use direct because again, I collect credit card authorization forms. You can do individual, group invoices. This is basically when you have a group trip where there's no options. It's basically, this is the room, this is the price, there's no add-ons, this is it. Boom, that's what you would use. I generally use the group booking page because I always have different type of room categories, the ability to add extra insurance, shuttle services, activities. They can basically customize their own trip. Then you also have the group form, which is just basically a generic form that you can create using anything that you want to go ahead and get information. Now, I don't use that anymore with the usage now of the group booking page. That makes everything so much easier. So hopefully this actually helped you out and this gave you some insight and some information on how to create a trip, a group, and a trip inside the group, as well as a client. Thank you for watching.